Okay. I come out here this morning, and if you'll take notice, I haven't removed nothing from the evidence crime scene. I got everything just like it was. Because I know the type of people that I'm dealing with out here, their primitive narrow-mindedness and how mean-spirited that they are, that these people thinks that in some pathetic, immoral, demented way, they think they're right. But deep down in their souls, I think they know that they're wrong. But the reason why that I haven't re-put this sign back up is simply because I know that if I do, they're going to come back and cut it back down. And it doesn't matter if it's in that position or over here in that position or over here in this position. Keep in mind, I was raised here since 1967. Whenever we first purchased a house from the old Dennis Harrison estate, my father bought it on a promise from his father that went up to the auction block in Dresden and bought it because somebody didn't pay the taxes. Well, whenever we got ready to move down here, after we got down here, the hot water heater was gone, the kitchen sink was gone, 2 or 3 other items was gone. And we got to asking around where all the stuff go. Come to find out, it was the Harrisons that went in and drug it all out, thinking that it belonged to them still, even though that they had walked away and forfeited on the house. And Dad had to make them put it back in because there were fixing to be charges placed up onto their life. But that tells you what type of people that I've been accustomed to dealing with down here for quite some times. Liars, thieves. They used to be just all alcoholics. Now they're alcoholics and drug users or drug manufacturers or ex-drug manufacturers. And I tend to wonder if an ex-drug manufacturer or an ex-drug user isn't just as bad as a drug user due to the fact that the damage has already been done and they got messed up minds. And if their minds is messed up, odds are their souls is messed up. And if their souls is messed up, odds are they're going straight to hell anyways. But anyways, I got to looking this morning at all this debris. Like I said, I left this out here for a reason. And lo and behold, I thought I heard something hit this morning. Somebody fairly early throw something, and there it is. We have the evidence at hand of a Bud Light. They started out early this morning, didn't they? So anyways, I just want to show my viewers of what I've been asked to do, because the insurance people that I have insurance with has their own detective team, even though Weakley County Sheriff's Department don't give a you-know-what pertaining to people like me. But I've been asked to gather up all data and all evidence pertaining to this. So what I'm going to do here, and I wanted my viewers to see this, you can't contaminate the evidence. So I'm going to put each piece of glass, and hopefully there'll be some DNA off of the glass that that we can determine who the true perpetrators are, because there will be evidence on the glass. See, this is what's burning their tails around here. They have been so used to operating not by the book, but under the book with these backwoods judges and these backwoods attorneys. And what they don't realize, that people like myself are smart enough to figure out that, you know what? If you can't rely upon law enforcement to do their jobs pertaining to defamation of character, well, then one must do it themselves. Kind of like me going out to Waco, Texas, and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and finding out the truth about what actually went on. Kind of like whenever the tires was blowing out on the Ford Explorers, and if it wasn't for some good journalist investigation of determining, hey, this isn't just happening once, this isn't just happening twice, there's a pattern here. We're seeing all these vehicles roll over. And they got to looking, and it was a defect with the tires. It's time that the American people woke up. It's time that the American people got off their rear ends. And if you're tired of being hoodooed, if you're tired of being punked, if you're tired of being taken advantage of, my advice would be to take the initiative and become an investigator or a detective in trying to do what they're supposed to be doing. Because obviously there's certain people in the county that they pick and choose of who they like and who they don't like. As David and I had said before, and I'll say again, if this would have been Tommy Moore's nephew or cousin or niece or aunt or Mike Wilson's, part of Mike Wilson's family, they would have set up surveillance out here, and they would have stopped this the first year or two that it was going on. But because old Juby was a nobody, and because they had already done compartmentalized old Juby towards demonizing him and putting him in a category that he never should have been put in to begin with, they washed their hands. They throwed me to the wolves. They throwed us under the bus. And because of certain law enforcement tactics, even to this day, they'll still stand under the shadows of, oh, it was an honest mistake. My probation officer didn't mean to give out the wrong date. Right. But yet now, whenever the citizens make a mistake and we stand in front of the judge, what does the judge tell us? Oh, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Right? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. In other words, do as I say, but don't do as I do, pertaining to law enforcement in this country. And I don't know how the rest of the citizens feel about it, but I personally am sick of it. Absolutely 110% sick of it. Anytime you have to put up a sign in front of your home that says this is a forbidden war zone or a kill zone. We rather live in peace, peacefully with all men. Speaks of it in Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. Something is entirely wrong whenever you have to put up a sign like that during the Christmas holidays. If you notice to the left-hand side, it says, Happy Holidays. I was still signing my name at that time of being influenced by the mayor of Martin, Tennessee, Randy. I think his name is Brundage. May be wrong about that, but anyways, he was going to First Central Baptist Church up here in Martin, Tennessee, beside the Westview School. And he had convinced me that you're signing your name wrong. You shouldn't be signing it J-U-B-B-Y, but sign it J-U-B-E-E or J-U-B-B-E-E. So I started signing my name differently. And Come to find out, that wasn't even the way that I should have signed it to begin with. I signed my name, Jew, Jew, B, B-E-E, Jew B. And Randy Brundage is supposed to be an excellent speller. He's supposed to be one of the top-notch spellers of, I guess, Northwest Tennessee, maybe. I don't know. This is where I got my beef. My cousin, Jim Boy, got the beef up in, I don't know if that was in Chicago, northern Chicago, or still in Wisconsin. But just wanted to show my viewers of the type of, and it's not ignorance. You know, ignorance is whenever you don't know no better. But whenever you've been incorrectly taught, and it's kind of like the people over in the Middle East that has denounced all the American people as them being either hypocrites or infidels. And whenever you've been taught this again and again and again throughout a lifetime, naturally, that's what you are going to believe. It's kind of like the people around here. I was gone for 30 years. I come back about 4 years ago. I had no earthly idea that the seeds that had been planted out here was the seeds coming from Satan. And now they'd done already convinced each other that Juby's a monster. Juby's a monster. Juby's the devil. Juby's the Antichrist. Right? And now it's done already reeked down to their little children. 7, 6, 5, 4 years old. And that's what they've been brainwashed in believing around here. Juby's the Antichrist. Juby's the Antichrist. And because of the poison that has brainwashed this society over here, called the Beech Ridge, Hop-In, Cydonia, Kenton, Sharon, Tennessee, Martin, Tennessee, Union City, Tennessee, because of the poison that the devil has put behind them, this is the repercussions that I've been receiving. And like I said earlier, and I'll say it again, David could not put up with this type of intolerableness. And as I have said, and I'll say again, public retribution. These antagonizing tactics we rebuke in and to world, the free world, towards the free world. I'll get it right in a minute. Kind of hard for me to see this morning. I ain't got my cobwebs beat out of my eyes yet. I'm going to paint all this. I'm going to add another sheet or two up there and actually make a billboard right there. And I'm going to paint all that and put something else different. But, you know, whenever David and I whenever I first come down here, Dad had a boat down here. And I remember us putting up a big sheet of tin like that said SOS, SOS, help, help, help. We was begging for help from the law enforcement agencies around here. And you know what type of help we got? They twisted it and turned it around and said because we had love to our future and we had love for our veterans and we had love for children, even though David and I had done already called Nashville pertaining to the Child Abuse Center, something that these people around here never had heard of. And even though I done already contacted the local Child Abuse Center in Dresden, Tennessee, because of our compassion towards not wanting to see children be devastated by a group of people that had done already knocked the door off the hinges 3 or 4 different times. The girl that was living here had done already had to call an ambulance to her 2 or 3 times because of him beating the heck out of her. And whenever you see the guy jumping up and down on top of the automobile like a baboon or ape, In addition to all the cussing, they never did put no drapes or curtains on the windows. We could see the activities going on inside there. And yes, sometimes they was in there pulling off all their clothes, hoping that we would watch them or see them in there performing different acts. Just some of the most heathenistic activities that I had ever seen before. And because David and I was concerned about these 3 children, that you would think Steve Lester and Donna Lester and the rest of the Lester family would be grateful that we was willing to throw up a red banner or a red flag about. We got punished for it. We got punished for being a good Samaritan and for raising a red flag towards children being in an environment that we know that they shouldn't have been in. In addition to them coming out here, all right, and mocking that sign, putting up their own sign, and putting up all kinds of scribbling, demonic stuff, different telephone numbers, Juby this, Juby that, we hate you, you're a hater, you're a monster. And the whole time, the people that was being the haters and the people that was being the monsters was the very people that had planted the seeds of bitterness and hate and indignation in their own hearts. I come back here to try to help a group of people that we know that needed help, including David. And the thank you that we got was all this abuse. And it's one thing to get abused by drug dealers or ex-drug dealers, people that don't have no morals. Right up there you can see a sign that says Recovery, St. Dale's Recovery Shelter, in honor of the 3 H's, based around the great invitation of Matthew chapter 11, 28 and 30, that this surrounds habits, hang-ups, and heartaches. I don't know if you can see it or not. Right there. Right there's the sign. In honor of our grandmother. All right? And to think that these people have basically looked a gift horse in the mouth, the same way that the heathen did over in Jerusalem whenever Jesus Christ come forth. And Jesus Christ was trying to help those people too as well. But to think in the 21st century to be treated in such of a barbaric, heathenistic, cruel, primitive way goes beyond anything that I can even comprehend. I never would have thought that in a million years, first of all, anybody, much less myself, would have been treated this way in my own hometown and in my own home area. I never would have thought it in a million years. Much less have believed that it would occur to have me, of the people that I thought that I knew, but come to find out they was imposters. I didn't know them at all. These people really are monsters, just like David and I talked about. These people really are barbaric. They really are primitive in their way of thinking. Like I said, the Willises, the Bakers, the Hills. I could go on with a great deal of names. The Coopers, the Mackrights. They all thought that beating their kids, as long as you left life in them, that was cool, that was okay. How can we break this addiction And there's more addictions in the world other than drug addiction and alcohol addiction. There's sex addiction, there's work addiction, there's lazy addiction, there's abuse addiction. There's all kinds of different addictions that Satan has planted in people's minds and in their hearts. How can we break this bondage? And that's exactly what it is. It's a burden that the enemy has planted here, a seed of indignation. How can we break this? It's actually like a spell, like a witch's spell or something. How can we break this? I'm going to tell you how we're going to break it. Because obviously, people don't believe me. They've done already categorized me over into a little department over here. They've already departmentalized or compartmentalized me towards me being a nut or me being whatever. That's fine. That's fine. They've done the exact same thing to Jesus. He wasn't welcome in his hometown either. But I'm going to tell you what it's going to take. It's going to take a calamity. And we're not talking about a tornado. We're not talking about a hurricane. We're not talking about something minute. To me, the word minute means small. I think I picked that up on Close Encounters or some kind of show where the little girl, I think she was called Newt. Little Newt. What was it? Alien something? But I'm going to tell you what it's going to take. Because it's obvious that I don't see a movement yet out of all this. It's going to take condemnation upon to a nation that will bring more remorse, more hardship, and more grief, and more horror. And that's exactly what these people, I believe, I'm convinced that that's what they want. Because they're not swaying the other way. I'm still getting beer bottles thrown at me. Okay? This is the repercussion of idiots, cowards, as far as I'm concerned. Pure, mere, 110% cowards. Cowards. So, let it be said. So, let it be written. So, let it be done. Thus saith the Lord. As of yesterday evening, they just got through receiving a 7-point something earthquake over in the San Francisco area in the northern part of Oakland or somewhere around the Golden Gate Bridge. That's just one of the beginning phases of what's to come. Okay? And the Bible says that these things that are going to occur are not coming in the form of hate, but they're coming in the form of love. All right? It's called tough love. But the reason why is because of the sorrows, because of all the sin. This is the golden year of the Jubilee. Something's going to occur. Either God's going to allow for me to be killed or die, or people are going to support the windmill ministries the way that they should have supported it 30 years ago whenever it first come out into the eyes of the public, or God's going to destroy the whole freaking country over here by either a volcano or a major earthquake, either on the San Andreas fault line over in California, or the fault line up through here. I forgot the name of it now. Anyways, they basically looking at damage from Memphis all the way to St. Louis, pertaining to another great earthquake that basically formed Reelfoot Lake. Or, if Yellowstone don't get us, maybe a big meteor coming out of the sky, hitting directly in the center of America, will put an end to it. Either or, it don't matter, because I've heard other people talk, such as myself, and we're basically living in hell. We're living in total hell. This has become the devil's playhouse, pertaining to Tommy Moore and law enforcement agencies and the state prosecutor and the sheriff that's been in power now for going on 33, 34 years, Mike Wilson. These people should all be arrested. They shouldn't just walk away from their positions, but they should go to jail, is what should happen to these people. Because these are the people that has allowed for this to get in the condition that it's in. Just like I told Mr. Wilson about a month ago, whenever I walked up to him, I said, where it says on the side of your automobile to protect and to serve, you're cherry picking. You're determining, because of your self-preservation and your narrow-mindedness and the anxiety that you have for certain individuals, you should put on the side of your automobile a selected few that we protect and serve. The rest of you should go straight to hell. That's what they should put on the side of the Weakley County judicial system, sheriff, deputies, cars. And if the truth be known, they probably should put the same thing in the Obion County, the Gibson County, the Lake County, Dyer County, Carroll County, Trigg County, Henry County, Madison County. I can go on and on, not just in the state of Tennessee, but throughout the whole United States. These people have sat on their hands. They have not done their jobs effectively and efficiently. They have allowed for this to get in the shape that it's in. That's the reason why Donald Trump keeps saying, drain the swamp, drain the swamp, drain the swamp. The only way to drain the swamp is for people like me to step out into the eyes of the public and say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Like I said, my insurance company has their own investigating team. They have their own detectives. And we're going to find out, even if they come out here and set up surveillance, we're going to find out who's riding up and down these roads late at night or early in the morning, tearing up stuff, because it's costing them. And it's, I think, 1 to 5 years in jail for vandalism, up to $1,000 fine, right? So keep coming on out here. Keep coming on out here. We're going to keep gathering up evidence, and eventually we will catch the perpetrators that hate the cross, that hate God, that hate the Lord Jesus Christ. But yet now they want to accuse me of me being the Antichrist. Can you see what's going on here? Can you see what's been going on here? It ain't just one thing that's on the line in this election, but it's our future. It's our children. It's the stability of a nation is what's on the line. And I don't care what they may think that they have on our chief and commander. I'll say this and I'll say it again. Unless he done something extremely, extremely bad, people need to leave the man alone. He's trying to help put us back a sail where we need to be. His hand is on the helm. He's trying to steer us out of the storm back into smoother waters. Okay? And if the Antichrist type people, the heathens, as Hillary Clinton would say, the deplorables, if they're not intelligent enough to see that, I hope to God that the ones that are will come out and they'll vote this election the right way. Because I would hate to see this nation become a third world nation to the point that we actually see little bitty babies out on streets, in behind dumpsters, in alleys, laying there dead with big swollen up bodies, big swollen up stomachs, because whoever had the child didn't want the child and they just throwed it out like a piece of garbage. I would hate to see this country become annihilated by either Yellowstone or a great earthquake or a meteor or even a comet to come down. But if that's what it takes, as I have said before and I'll say again, if God cannot cure you, he will kill you. He done the exact same thing during the era of Noah. He done the exact same thing during the era of Sodom and Gomorrah. There's been other cultures, there's been other generations that just disappeared. And to this day, we're still trying to figure out what the heck happened to that generation. What the heck happened to that culture? What the heck happened to that group of people? You think maybe it could have been because they got too outlandish? You think maybe it was because they didn't want to hear the sound of the messenger simply because they didn't like the message? They looked a gift horse in the mouth in Jerusalem. Look at the whole sector in the Middle East. Look how dangerous that it has become. What does the Bible say? That whenever you see Jerusalem accomplished with armies, and there's armies everywhere, know that the end is at hand. We're at the doors. And one or two things is going to happen. We're either going to see a great revival that's going to escalate into a revolution, a worldwide revolution, or we're going to see condemnation come upon to not just one nation, but to all the nations that will put this planet to its knees. Thus saith the Lord. Thanks again for listening. See ya. God bless. In 14, whenever I come back here, I could have went anywhere. North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi. I could have stayed in Florida. I could have stayed in the Appalachian Mountains up in eastern Tennessee. I could have went back out west. But yet no, I chose to come back here. I come back here to want to help a group of people that needed help. But they don't want help. They've been spoiled. They've been given their drugs and their buzzes and their alcohol and their whores and their whoremongers. And they've been getting their free checks, their stupid checks and other types of freebies. And as long as this government keeps producing monsters, that's what it's going to get to. Monsters.